Hello everyone. Welcome to the Drawn Gamer Reacts. First video. I was gonna do a Minecraft video, then my transfer thing, like where videos transfer so you can edit them. Started decided to be like, no. So yeah, let's get it started.
Get ready for a mini theory.
And this one's totally new.
Definitely didn't do that one right. Let's try it again. Get ready for a much better. Though, if I'm being honest, this is
I
less
love
a
that. I
theory
love
and more
that.
wild,
I love that.
overreaching speculation with just a light amount of evidence. A game hypothesis, if you will.
Isn't that every episode of this?
Makes Stress Level Zero's metaverse of killer dogs and Inception-style universe hopping significantly more compelling. And it's exactly what I alluded to last episode. That
Yeah.
David, this little blonde kid from Duck Season, the one whose blockbuster rental weekend becomes a desperate fight for survival, that
Anyway.
he grows up to become Arthur Ford, our secret double agent crowbarring aficionado in Boneworks. It's a high-tech 2020s version of Sans' Nest, except this time, I think there's a slim, super slim, itty-bitty chance that I might be right. So let's just get the formality out of
Isn't
the way
that
and talk
every
about it.
theory
Hello,
that you
Internet.
have?
Welcome to Game Theory. Let's begin. What first got
I
me going
mean,
down this
that's
insane rabbit
legit.
hole was this scene in the early game of Boneworks. As you're walking down the streets filled with turret bots and head crabs, you're suddenly back in a Monogon office lunchroom, and you see this, a small replica of a suburban home. Not only did the out-of-nowhere inclusion of a tiny house in the middle of an otherwise sterile office setting set off my theorist tingles, it got a lot of viewers at home to tingle too.
Yeah, Theory Man and Theory Boy.
Duck season. Is it? Is it the house from Duck season?
That's a good question. We did do a demonic ritual in a treehouse of some form.
Oh.
I believe this to be a replica of David's house from Duck Season. Now, admittedly,
Probably
it's
not.
perfect. There are some windows that are out of place, a sliding door is missing, and the fence is a different style, but the essential elements are there, namely this doghouse and this outdoor playset in the backyard. Very intentionally put there by the developers to show us the parallels between these two houses. Plus, in the best min ending of Duck Season, we watch
Yeah,
as the dog
I've
sprints
seen
around
this.
the outside
Corey
of the house before
Kenshin.
being taken down in the backyard with the appropriate amount of force. The news coverage of this low-speed chase shows us the outside of David's house, and it proves that it does indeed have a railed-in front landing, just like we see in the model. Again, it's not exact, but it's certainly close enough to suggest that these two houses are meant to be one and the same. But why would a replica of David's house be in Monogon's break room? Well, we see attached to the house a series of oversized pipes, all leading up to a giant black box with the Monogon logo. Could this be a Monogon server or an actual Monogon office? Based on the small door that we see at the base of the structure, it makes it look like it's an actual building. And as we approach the end game of Boneworks, we see these sorts of pipes making
I never
an appearance at the
seen
base of the
Boneworks
time tower
before, if
our
you're
big
wondering.
battle to restart the system. The pipes are here, along
Hold
the
up.
base of the time tower
Hold up.
before our
Super Hot. That's the triangle from Super Hot right there, right in the middle of those cultists.
big battle to restart the system. The pipes are here, along the left wall in a room full of, wouldn't you know it, Duck Season displays. In the center, we have what can be assumed to be a magical void rock, presumably one of the first discoveries that allowed Monogon to tap into the mysterious powers of the void. And
Sorry if
over
I'm
here
not
on the right,
commentary.
we see our
I'm
infamous Cat Cryptid
Yep.
9, the one we talked about
Seen
a lot
this.
in the last episode, alongside the
I've
Gammon King-Bit gaming
sorry if I'm not
console and bunch of clocks.
commentating
We
a
know
lot.
Duck
I
Season
just
from
got
Duck Season
really
PC.
nothing.
These are all objects and characters that are able to cross into and out of the void space. So it appears that Monogon secured them and studied them in order to understand how they could tap into and utilize the void in building their Myth OS city. Meaning that the material flowing through those pipes is presumably the void energy that's powering the whole operation.
AKA dark
So
matter.
what does any of this have to do with David's house? Well, the events of Duck Season were pretty clearly the first instance of a void-based creature coming out into the real world. The secret message from Nine the Cat we covered last video
Hello,
confirms
little
this.
one.
It's been 30
Here,
years.
let me read this to you. Hello, little one. 30 years waiting for someone to open a gate, and finally these fools decide to use the void way. These fools! These fools! These fools! Well, thank you for helping me with my rescue, but I left you a gift, but you can't have it just yet. First, you must be patient. Are there are others coming, and we must await their arrival. See you on the other side.
since the void was
Cryptid
last
cat.
opened. So that's a pretty big deal. In short, David's house becomes the nexus point, this gateway
The
into
nexus
another
point?
dimension. Plus, it's easy to forget that Duck Season has a canon ending, explicitly labeled as
It's
the
the
canon
canon ending.
You don't do that unless you plan to do something with that story later on. And in the canon ending, we watch as David successfully destroys the killer dog and leaves his house. But look again, there's an important detail here. Notice that when the dog explodes, we see his particles erupt everywhere, but they don't disappear. They don't fade away. David also smashes the haunted cartridge, but leaves it and his Kingbit gaming system back at his house before burying his mother and running away into the distance. It seems clear to me that Monaghan learned of David's story, researched the house, and tapped into the remnant void energy that was found there. Between the dog particles, the cursed cartridge, and the game system, the house is like a hot spot of void. And by building their office near that hot spot and tapping into it using their pipes, Monaghan has been able to use the void energy to build their business and their VR city. And already you can start to see how David might be playing a bigger role in the story. He's the only one who truly knows what happened inside his house, that some being leapt out of a TV to attack him and his family. He's also got a very personal stake in all of this. In Duck Season, David loses a lot to the void. His mother
Tears.
is killed by a void creature, and he's forced to leave home and never return.
Hold up,
The
hold
void.
up.
His
I
mother
never
is killed
noticed
by a
that.
void
What?
creature, And he's forced
Gun. He brought a revolver. He's like, if I'm going out, people are going out with
to
me.
leave home and never return. In fact, it's likely he's held responsible for his mother's death. The police aren't going to believe that some otherworldly creature popped out of a TV and killed her. It would mean that he's practically a criminal on the run. It also means that he would probably have to change his name away from David into something different. Maybe something like Arthur. I mean, if I were him and had to go through all that, I'd want to make sure
Visible
that either
frustration.
on all other
You know that meme?
cryptids, or
I would
ensure
put that
the
meme, but
void
I
is
don't know
closed
how
forever,
to.
or
I
make
don't
sure
know that.
I'm the one
I don't know how to
exploiting
edit it.
the void for my own good. And as I said before, in the canon ending of Duck Season, David is still out there. He's on the road. His story continues on. So we've connected his childhood house to MythOS, and we've established that David definitely has the motivation to come back and interrupt Monaghan's void activities. But there's more. Something I've pointed out in the previous two theories is that
I've
when
seen
Arthur
those.
is near the end of his journey in Boneworks, after resetting the myth system and preparing to enter the Boneworks layer of the system, he's led through a door by a void being. But there's some really particular details about that door. First, the knob is made of David's old baseball, one presumably given to him by his father, who was himself a professional baseball player. We can assume this since we know that David's dad played for a team with a dog mascot, and a dog character has clearly signed the ball. Now, why would that ball be there, of all places, on the boundary between MythOS and the void? It makes zero sense. In the canon ending, David just leaves his house. He doesn't enter the void, he doesn't transition any objects into it, so it implies that either someone in-game programmed that detail in as an Easter egg to his original house, thereby commemorating the thing that made void technology possible to begin with, or that this whole sequence is somehow a product of Arthur's mind. In which case, he would have to have been aware of the ball, and it would presumably be meaningful to him in some way. So that's all well and good, but the kicker to me,
Hi,
quite honestly,
Lexi.
the strongest
My
bit of
dog.
evidence for this game hypothesis is the other strange
Bro,
detail of the story.
just change your
Two
name to
words,
Game
welcome
Hypothesis.
home. The void is
'Cause
welcoming Arthur.
that's all you ever
This
do.
time is repeating, and we've been through this door before.
Not really.
As
I
we've
really
established, the void does seem to exist beyond time. But this plus the baseball on the same door means that the two clues need to be taken together, which reads much more clearly as a person coming full circle. Arthur coming back to where it all began. He's home again, but he wasn't around for when it all began, or was he? If Arthur and David are truly one and the same, these two little details of the baseball and the text welcoming him home would make a lot of sense. Arthur's
Even the
journey
nose look a
started when he was
little
attacked by a
like.
killer dog in a video game, and he's dedicated his life since to getting his revenge. And at this juncture in Boneworks, he is truly
Welcome
finally home.
home,
He's back to where his journey
Arthur.
first started. He's now ready to face the creatures of the void. one
Hello,
more time.
I'm
Welcome
Morgan
home could
Freeman.
also means something else. When you go through the door, the game suddenly changes drastically. We go from a Portal-esque future world with sterile visuals and modern aesthetics to a dark dungeon lit by torches. The final level of the game is a literal fantasy world with ye olde Coliseum, ye olde dungeons, and yon castle thither. It is a jarring switch.
Hey,
for
shut up.
gameplay, but
Nobody
if you
wants to
pay attention,
hear
it
that
does make some
oldie
sense.
talk.
You
If
see,
you want
it
to
seems
take
that we've been
oldie
dropped into
talk
Fantasyland.
Put ye in there.
Hinted at throughout various
Be
posters
ye
and binders
kind.
in Boneworks.
That's my
The game
mom's
that
teacher
we're
for
told
you.
is being produced by Stress
Be
Level Zero
ye
Studios.
kind.
Yet
Oh yeah,
in
I'm
the Lost
having
game,
like.
Stress Level Zero
If
is
you're like,
itself
oh, why
a
does he have it?
character and canonical
1 second.
entity that works
I'm
just like it does in the
I'm
real
already
world,
prepared for my
producing games.
1,000
Just again, like in FNAF VR, where Scott
1,000
Cawthon kinda sorta almost made
subscriber.
inserts
I'm ready
himself
for
into
that
the lore.
crap.
Oh wait, no, it's a different indie
So-
developer, but still very closely
so,
parallels to his own
if-
personal story. I'm not looking for reasons to draw
So if you're
parallels
like,
between
oh,
these
why
two.
is
No,
he,
why did I bring that
why
detail
is
up?
he-
One, the well
I gotta
known
turn down my
that
volume.
Arthur once worked at Stress
Why
Level
are,
Zero,
why
so
is he
coming
thinking
home to an
about
old and
doing that?
presumably
Me.
long-forgotten project.
Cause I got
Alternatively, and
something
more
big
excitingly,
planned. So
consider this.
subscribe
Last
for that
episode I showcased one of
1,000
the secret Easter eggs
thing
from Duck
for-
Season that had you unlocking
1 second.
a Stress
Let me
Level
think.
Zero showcase booth, like the type of installation you'd see
Oh,
at an industry event like
subscribe for
E3,
that
or at least
1K
E3
video.
back when people cared about it, and not E3 now, where literally no company wants to attend. This year, it's just gonna be
Will
me there holding
pass.
a Mad Catz controller and oversized novelty bag full of sadness. Anyway, that showcase room has
Yeah,
two
I wanna
very
see
clear
Sonic
and deliberate
when
sides.
it's
One inside the
February,
booth
or
itself
did
and
it
one
come out last
outside,
year? I
where
don't know.
randomly we see Mom working on her
February.
computer. Could it be that she works at Stress Level Zero Studios,
February.
producing early games for them?
That's February,
Fantasyland
right?
was one of her earliest projects, and so
Sorry
David
if I'm
being
saying
welcomed
February a
home
lot.
Is him returning back to the unfinished
I'm
game
trying-
that his
I'm
mother
trying
once
to,
worked on at her old company, an early prototype that
I'm
was
trying to,
build a
I'm trying to
VR
make some context
experience
here.
of the power of the void. It could be. And here
Yeah, I
is
turned
where
down my
everything
volume a
starts to
lot
come
more.
Together. You see, I don't just think that David is Arthur. I think that David is Arthur Ford and is also the dog. We've established time and time again that the void exists beyond
Beyond
time. So
time.
an
Yeah,
older
yeah, yeah,
version of
we've
David
heard.
coming back to send a message to
Yeah,
his
like
younger
you said.
version absolutely makes sense. We know that David's father was in a baseball team with a dog mascot, so future David could choose to disguise himself in that way. There's also the mystery of the final It's Me tape from Duck Season, where the dog sends a message to David,
You're
you, me,
my
baby. I
baby.
thought that was a father sending a loving message to his son, you're my baby, back in my very first theory on Duck Season. But knowing that the dog isn't the father, what does this message mean? Well, it could translate to you are me as a child. We also know that in one of the game's other endings, the dog is sympathetic towards David when he gets trapped
And he
inside the
comforts
void.
him.
He's not a killer all the time. But why?
Oh, dang,
Why
the
would a
computer
future
version is
David
a lot
dress as a
better.
dog to revisit his earlier self to kill his mother and potentially himself? Well, it's to prevent an apocalypse. Last episode, we talked a lot about how the next game in the Stress Level Zero metaverse is going to be about a machine uprising where monsters from the void wipe humanity out, or something like that. And we just talked about how David's mom, working at Stress Level Zero Studios, could
Hey,
be
guys,
working
guys,
on
listen
some of
to
the
this.
earliest tests
Suck.
of a void-based game. To me, this all reads as future
That's-
David
that's a
going
bad
back
fear
to where the
thing.
void first opens in an attempt to stop her, to stop it all from happening, to stop people from accessing the void and thereby releasing these monsters out into the real world. He's closing the loop, except it doesn't work. Young David kills his older self, and Monagon is able to steal the technology for themselves. Anyway, like I said, wild speculation, but the clues, and definitely the storytelling, are certainly there. Anyway, going back to the slightly less aggressive theory of
jeez.
David
Okay,
being
that's-
Arthur, we know that
we've
Duck
been
Season
here
takes
for a
place in the
long
summer of
time.
1988. It's in the
I have to
Steam
make this
description
less
for the
than
game.
30
It's
minutes,
also made
so
clear based on the
that way
calendar
the
Mom has
YouTube's
posted
like,
on the
oh
kitchen
yeah, you
refrigerator.
can
According to the
definitely
game's
do
wiki,
that.
David is
'Cause,
11 years old.
again,
Moving over
I
to
can't edit
Boneworks, we know that
videos,
Arthur
and I don't know
Ford's
how to
attack on
make my
Monagon is
videos
happening
longer.
in 1997, shortly before MythOS City opens to the public. This would make David roughly 20. Still young, but certainly
20.
old enough to look like this and be holding down
I
a full-time
am
job. This is especially true when you compare his look to his co-workers Alora and Hayes, who themselves also look to be on the younger side. Now, there is one big elephant in the room. David's looks
Yeah,
versus Arthur's
when I
looks.
grow
You
up,
might
I really
immediately
just
point out
want
that
to work
David
at
is
like a
super
shave
blonde
ice or
as a kid, and
something.
Arthur Ford is decidedly not. And yeah, I get
You guys
that is
ever heard of
huge
Yogurt
evidence
Mountain?
against the
I don't
theory,
wanna
and
work
one of the
there.
reasons
That's
I started
awesome.
the whole episode out by calling this wild speculation with just a pinch of evidence sprinkled in. Then again, it is a fact that children's hair color can and often does change naturally when they go through puberty, with blonde, tow-headed children seeing their hair darken to brown as the amount of eumelanin in the hair increases when they mature. I was one such kid,
Yeah.
a blonde bombshell back in the day, and now just, you know, I got a mop of muddy poop brown on my head. Well, barely even that anymore because I shaved it all off for charity. So that could explain away the
He's
difference in
Professor
hair.
X
The
now.
difference in eye color, on the other hand, though, is a lot harder to get away with. Sure, like hair
Contact
color, eye
lenses.
color can change with age. It happens to 10 to 15% of the Caucasian population, but there's one big catch with that. It only tends to happen to children under the age of 1. Then again, there is one other explanation here, and one that I alluded to a bit earlier. You know what changes both a person's hair color and their eye color? Dyes and contacts. People on the
I
run
just
in
said
witness
that.
protection. Someone looking to change their identity, like, I don't know, someone who might be held accountable for the murder of his mom. Just saying. And so there it is, my rationale for why David from Duck Season and Arthur from
Oh.
Boneworks are one and the same, as well as my further
So, yeah,
rationale
I
and
am
wild
going
speculation
to
as to why
skip
both
this
of
right
them
there.
are probably also
So,
the dog
it's
from
only
Duck
like
Season. I still
14
personally think there's plenty of evidence to link all three of them. David has the motivation, he's the right age, his house is directly connected to Monogon, and the Boneworks literally welcomes him back to the Void. The character design
So,
differences, sure,
once
that
this
is
is
a blow
done,
to this
I
theory,
will
but we
leave
also
you.
came up with an explanation for that too. Plus, you know what? In video games, characters' looks evolve. I mean, Kirby used to look like this, and Mario used to look like this, and Sonic this, so, you know, it could change. Anyway, that's what I got. Didn't turn out to be much of a mini theory, considering I'm on page 5 right now, but you know what? They never do. Speaking of small
Mini
things,
theory?
though, are you looking for some new
Ender
earbuds?
mites.
I was, because I'm being honest,
See you
I lost
later.